Hi, my name is Lindsay Gales, and I am here today to share the findings of my literature review on ethical considerations in association with assessment in the classroom. Now, I chose this topic being an early elementary educator who is just beginning this professional field, and I witness ethical considerations on a daily basis. I was interested in learning more about assessment practices because I myself have endured a grade level switch this year and have been researching new assessment strategies to pair with lower elementary learners as opposed to my previous higher elementary learners. I have also, like many others, witnessed a great decline in student comprehension since the COVID-19 pandemic and the shutdown that had commenced because of it. This encouraged many districts, including my own, to buckle down on assessment and instruction to fill all gaps in learning. I have been feeling the pressure myself, and I decided to dive into assessment, which led me down this wonderful ethical timeline of various assessment strategies to uphold. As we know, assessment is the backbone of teaching effectively, and it comes with many difficult decisions. But after researching, I found that assessment is not the focal point across professional development and teacher trainings. As of late, topics such as socio-emotional health, building safety, and new curriculums are the center of trainings, which are incredibly important, don't get me wrong, and they should be discussed. However, ethics regarding assessment should be reintroduced back into the conversation. Overall, my research indicates three distinct themes that I utilize to structure my paper. 1. Assessment should promote fairness and dismiss any bias. 2. With the growth of diversity in the classroom, it is essential to consider cultural differences when turning to ethics. And 3. Courses on ethics should be mandated for pre-service teachers to prepare them for the many decisions they need to make in the future. All of these points will serve to attack the following question. What ethical factors should teachers consider within their assessment practices? Which brings us to the first, Code of Ethics. Now, the first section of my paper involved a discussion on the ethical guidelines found in the student evaluation standards, stating that assessment should be ethical, fair, feasible, useful, and accurate. Many researchers, including Jambunathan, found that many teachers are unaware of this code and would not be able to differentiate between ethical dilemmas and other types of issues, let alone have a plan on addressing these scenarios if they arose in the classroom, which is stunning to me, honestly. Green introduced 7 categories of ethicality, which I then used to outline this particular section of my paper. These 7 categories include fairness, communication about grading, confidentiality, guiding practice, methods of assessment, test administration, and standardized test preparation. Now, regarding assessment being fair, educators should steer clear from score pollution. This generally just means considering factors like attendance and student effort are wrong, and grades should really only reflect true mastery of the content that is being studied. Some suggestions were offered by Exume's article, which include providing a scoring rubric of objective items and eliminating names or placing names on the back of assessments in order to help the instructor grade only what is presented in front of them to them. The next considerable commonality across research in this subject area is confidentiality. More than half of studies conducted isolate peer evaluations as a breach of confidentiality, believe it or not. Students have a right to their privacy. It is true that peer grading practices promote collaboration and enforce higher level thinking. But overall, students could be insecure about sharing their material. They may need support in understanding a particular topic, and peers may refrain from providing helpful or gentle remarks. Exume presented a very powerful article as well that indicates several examples of educators who had violated ethical principles. One example actually really shocked me. It included a college university in China who had actually mailed final grade reports to the parental households of enrolled students, which again is breaching confidentiality since college students are considered adults and they really should have been presented with those grades directly. Another ethical consideration is utilizing multiple modes of assessment because, according to Fan, no single task can accurately or adequately measure students' learning outcomes. Thus, brings me to my second section of my paper, which is cultural consideration. Johnson, Fan, and Jambu-Nathan all present strong statements regarding the gap that exists in research comparing ethical practices across cultures in countries like China and India. Teachers today are teaching in a global setting and within diverse classrooms. There is an influx of ESL students, for those of you who do not know what that means, students who speak English as a second language. Now, the ethical principle of fairness ensures that all students receive the individual needs they may require. Research also indicates that many districts have educators from countries worldwide who have ethical principles that are greatly influenced by their families' culture, by language, and beliefs, according to Jambu-Nathan. Research indicates that after a study of 555 professors from over 143 universities spanning 29 provinces in China, they answered 15 scenarios that had both ethical and unethical assessment practices on them, and the results are purely shocking. 70% of Chinese educators considered it moral to count student effort in grading, which we just talked about score pollution being completely unethical. 70% of educators believed it is ethical to count attendance as 20% to 30% of their final grades. And more than 1/3 of educators considered it ethical to add 20 points, believe it or not, to students' grades to compensate for low scores on a midterm exam. There is a significant difference between what United States teachers view as ethical practices and what teachers in other countries, such as China, view as ethical practices. So this was a really important topic to me, making sure, yes, fairness and excluding bias are all extremely important ethical practices, but I think we really need to look at our classrooms at this day and age. We have a total melting pot in our classrooms, and we really need to make sure that we are following these ethical principles, making sure that we are getting these students the services they need and the translators they need, presenting material to them in their both languages, the language they're learning and their native tongue. Now, segueing onto my last section of my paper is teacher preparation. While Liu, Johnson, and Jambu-Nathan all present the understanding that professional ethics is neglected in teacher preparation programs. Many undergraduate classes focus on classroom management, understanding curriculum, designing lesson plans, and developing connections with students and their families. Again, all incredibly important aspects that you must master as a teacher. But however, ethics truly needs to become a mandated program for undergraduate teachers to complete before becoming certified. As of now, only 6% of teacher education programs provide a mandatory ethics-related course. Even looking back to my experience, I don't remember having a focused ethics class. I remember talking about assessment strategies and having an assessment class, but we really need to bring this back into the discussion and making sure that we are highlighting the importance of preparing our teachers ethically, providing which includes providing scenarios, ethical scenarios on certification exams, really making sure teachers are following these guidelines. Now, as professional educators, we need to uphold 4 responsibilities, according to Shapira, to make us into ethical educators. And these 4 categories include professionalism, collegial relationships, respecting the law, and collaboration with parents and school communities. Now, ethical professionals consistently take professional development courses to strengthen their teaching practices and keep their strategies up to date. It's up to us to make sure that we are strengthening our practices to best serve our students. Teachers should collaborate with colleagues in the interest of student learning and also making sure they're learning the best instructional strategies possible. Ethical educators also respect the law and school regulations in order to protect the rights of all students and teachers connected to the school. Educators are also motivated to collaborate with their school community and all their students' families, since they all have a shared responsibility for the well-being of their children and an interest in promoting the learning process. Oh my gosh. To conclude, sorry about that, assessment has become a very controversial topic in the classroom. But unfortunately, this topic is neglected in research. The debate needs to continue to ensure that educators adhere to proper protocols and assess in fair and unbiased ways. Administrators need to start stressing the importance of data collection, the code of ethics, and ensuring that assessments evaluate student understanding, eliminating other factors from consideration. More studies need to be conducted to better understand the extent to which educators agree on student evaluation policies. More studies also need to compare ethical perspectives among different countries. This topic of research will also benefit from evaluating teacher preparation programs in the U.S., analyzing course offerings, instructor qualifications, and mentor programs. So overall, I found this topic incredibly relatable to my profession, to what I face every single day, and also very interesting. There were a lot of factors that I really didn't realize schools were avoiding in our professional development trainings, and it's really up to us to bring this back into view. It's incredibly important, especially as a teacher that's just starting out in this field. There's a lot of essential information that I never received from my school, and it's important that we make sure we discuss it. So I really hope that you learned a little bit about my presentation. I enjoyed reading all about assessment practices, and I hope that you will consider looking into it further as well. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day. Bye.